Hi, I'm Kim.
And I'm Sarah. Between the two of us, we've been yearbooking for a pretty long time. And in all that time, we've learned that yearbook can be so much fun. So we're here to show you the good, better, and best ways to make yearbooking a success. Let's dive in.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm great. I'm getting ready to talk about delivery and distribution. So it's a great time of year. It can be very exciting, but a little overwhelming, especially if you're new.
So why don't we start with delivery and knowing like when your book is going to even come?
Right. All right. So if you met all your deadlines and you are going to get your scheduled ship date. Now, what was your scheduled ship date? It's really a ship week. I should make that clear.
Yeah.
Most books are boxed up and leave on a Friday. They are loaded on the tractor trailers, whether they're FedEx or UPS. So if you want to go to status summary report, midway down, key dates. There's going to be 2 dates. Mm-hmm. There's going to be the contract ship date, which is what we had as your ship week when we started at the beginning of the year. And so that date is there. If you met all your deadlines, that and the scheduled completion will be the same thing. Let's say you missed some deadlines and so you lost your ship week. Then there is below that what is called the
scheduled completion.
Scheduled completion, which is the date that I was able to secure to ship the books, even though you missed deadline. Because when you miss all those deadlines, you get knocked out for people who did meet their deadlines.
You kind of go to the back of the line.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
So you can look at that. Now, can I guarantee any of what day exactly it's going to come? Absolutely not.
So this is the first day of the week that it's planning to leave the plant.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we have to accommodate for travel time and all that. So don't think that if your contract ship date was May 9th and you met all your deadline, the books are showing up that day.
No, they're going to. Now, if they can show up that day, they can show up 10 days early. That's the most they can show up early. So how do we know exactly when our books ship? All right. That is when you get a little email, right?
Yep.
From the plant.
And tell you which truck's coming on.
No, your truck's coming, all right?
That's right.
We ship with 2 different carriers, UPS and FedEx, all right? So you're going to get an email. And what's that email going to say?
The email is going to tell you whether yours is coming by UPS or FedEx. And there's 2 different processes. Mm-hmm. So if your book is coming by FedEx, then you're going to get an email that's going to say your book is coming by FedEx. This is kind of the general timeline. Uh-huh. And then FedEx will actually call you. And that's why it was that was why it was such a big deal for us to get that contact information from you a few weeks ago, right? Mm-hmm. So they're going to call you and say, hey, this is when we're scheduling delivery, and they'll handle it with you as far as location and date.
Right. This is really important that somebody actually speak to them, because if you don't, they're just going to show up because you didn't respond. So you make sure. And it's also really important to understand that these tractor trailers may have 5 schools on them. And so your book may be at the front of the tractor trailer, so you're going to be the last delivery. So it just depends. And we have no control.
No.
None, okay? Once it gets on that truck, I have no say-so.
And there's no tracking number either.
No, not for FedEx.
There's no tracking number for FedEx. Now, so you are at the mercy of when they call you, you ask all the questions.
Right. Now, UPS, you will get a tracking number.
Right. And so UPS books are going to be shipped, and in the email that says to you, hey, your book is coming UPS, here's your tracking number.
Right.
So that's going to be your contact information there.
All right. Kind of interesting, too, is that you have to understand that these guys have been contracted to bring your book inside the building, not 3 floors up, not in the basement. They're going to bring it to a loading dock. They're going to bring it inside the loading dock.
Right.
And so if they try to leave it outside, you just shake your head no and say, no, you're contracted to bring it inside.
Yeah.
But like I said, they're not contracted to haul them all over school. So the day they're coming, the time they're coming, you kind of need, if you're going to have to move them somewhere else, you need muscle. All right. You need I used to have an advisor. She always got the weightlifting class to come meet the truck and help her move the books because they're heavy.
You can also reach out to your
make sure your custodian and everybody knows
your custodian and all of that, and they can help. Now, when those books get there, the very first thing you have to do is lock them up, which means before they even arrive, you need to plan where that place is going to be. And for some of you, it's a lot of books, and it's going to be a pallet full of boxes. And so you need to make sure you have adequate space, and it needs to be locked. And it needs to be locked from everybody. Because teachers, with all good intention, will be like, oh, yearbooks, I want to look at that. They open the box, the books go missing. It's a whole thing. So I want
They get stolen all the time, and
I
it's just
know.
the reality of it, and you've got to be careful. And remember, they're on a pallet, so your custodian will have one of those pallet movers. That's real important because you're not going to want to unwrap the pallet and take them all off.
Now, if you're a smaller school with a smaller book order or smaller books, they may not. They may come individual boxes, and you can just, haul the boxes. But if you're ordering thousands of books, they're going to come on a pallet, and you're going to need that.
All right, so the books get there.
And
they're on the pallet. The first thing the person who meets the driver must do is they're going to hand you an invoice, a shipping invoice.
Yeah.
You have got to count the boxes, and you've got to get in that pallet, and you've got to make sure that you have exactly the same number of boxes delivered that is on that sheet.
Right, because they're going to leave your school and they're going to go to another school, and you don't want them to accidentally deliver one pallet of your boxes to some other school.
You got to make sure. Take your time
before they leave.
Before they leave, because if you're missing 3 boxes, he needs to get back on that truck and look. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the driver has no emotional attachment to your book.
Right.
He's a driver, and he is dropping your books off, and he's trying to get home as fast as possible. So you've got to make sure he slows down, and you or she, count all those boxes before you sign off, because you have to sign that they delivered that amount of boxes.
So your email should tell you how many boxes to expect, how much space you need, and and how much muscle you'll need. But it also tells you how many to expect to come on the truck. So then you can compare your email to the shipping invoice that they hand you to how many physical boxes show up.
And there could be a little box that only has 2 books in it. That counts as a box.
That's right.
Some people think they're all the big boxes that we're going to show you in a minute, but they're not. Sometimes they just have 2 extra books, so they're in a smaller box.
Right.
So count that box as well.
So what happens if... Do you remember last year when the driver dropped the entire pallet off the back of the truck and it busted all the boxes? What happens if there's damage?
You call Kim and Sarah. You take pictures immediately. You refuse to sign for them, and you call us so we can call the plant. I don't have a lot I can do immediately, but I can then start whatever needs to be done as far as damage control. If we have to reprint or remake covers, at no fault to us, and no fault to you. Accidents happen. I always reference Castaway. Was that the movie with Tom Hanks when the FedEx plane crashed? And I always wondered whose stuff was on that plane because it happens. Yeah. I mean, I've had a truck run over a box of books. I've had them drop it off the back of the whole thing. It's just, or they delivered them in a pouring rainstorm, or it's just this time of year is when I don't sleep. But you let me and Sarah worry about those kind of things. 99% of the time it goes smoothly.
Yeah.
All right.
But if you do have damage, photos to Kim or Sarah.
Immediately.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Cool. All right. So you have your boxes. Everything is in good shape. You've locked them up. But do we just assume that everything inside the boxes is good?
Before that driver leaves, again, maybe open a box and make sure they're your books. I know that sounds just ridiculous. But just because the pallet says it's for your school, sometimes those things get mixed up. So make sure you open at least the first box before he leaves. Now, I suggest over the next few days you open several boxes. Last year I had a school that literally got another school's books. They were from Colorado. And it just that the driver had mixed them up and put the wrong shipping thing with that. And one group went to Colorado and one group went to North Carolina.
I'm going to open a box.
Oh God, Sarah, stop. You look like a serial killer, okay? Which is a book killer. Nope. These books are solid in these boxes, meaning they are packed full. So what happens, Sarah, if your kids take a pair of scissors and just go down this, or a knife, or anything? The
top 2 books get ruined in every box.
And if you call me and say, hey, we got scratches, and I say, no, that's a cut mark, the plant's not going to replace those books. No. You've got to make sure you start at
I just cut at the edge.
The end.
And then cut at the other edge. And then if you just kind of pull, it pops open.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, you're going to get 2 types of boxes, aren't you, while we've got them out. This is a box that has blue writing on it. This is really important because these are going to be the books that kids ordered personalization. And on the outside of the box is going to be the list of the kids' books that are in this box. And they're in ABC order.
the box does so much of the work for people. And if you don't know that, you just start pulling stuff out, then you've undone all of the work.
All the work's already been done. So take all these boxes that are blue and put in one stack, right? Because then I'm going to just stack these A to Z, open them up, flip them open, and then I've got all my personalized books ready to go.
Yep.
I don't have to do anything. What's the other box?
White.
They have the white letters on them. These are the ones that are non-personalized. You don't even have to do anything. They're just, you're just going to hand these out, okay? So when we talk about distribution, these are the ones that you just stack behind the kids that are distributing. You don't have to really do much because they're just non-personalized. Everybody's are the same.
That's right.
Okay.
So the personalized books, they're not only in the proper box with the name on them, but once you open the box, each book,
I'm not going to.
it's very sealed.
Yeah, it is.
Once you open the box, inside the books are going to be wrapped in a band with the student's name on them, so it's very easy to tell. The dog's going outside.
Yeah.
It's very easy to tell which book belongs to which student.
Meaning the book's here. I've got a white band around it. At the top is the student's name printed on the band. At the bottom is the student's name printed on the band. That is... Jasper, you okay? Okay. All right. Jasper's going outside. He has a little doggy door and it makes this noise. So anyway, it's really important to understand that these books are already what these are out here. So I usually just put these on the ground or on a table in order A to Z, and then we stack them so I can read the end of them real quick. And then the non-personalized, you can just stack. My favorite way a school used to do it is we called it the corral method.
I love this.
I did too. And what we did was we put the books in the circle in the gym. And so all the non-personalized books were just stacked in the circle, and then the personalized books were A to Z on the bottom, on the floor. And so you put tables around them, and kids come up to the table. They could come any table, any place, anywhere, hand you their ticket or tell you their name and their, whatever, and you just pick the book up and give it to them.
Sometimes I think, and I'll be honest, I was guilty of this when I was a yearbook advisor, that people think if we organize the lines, things will run more smoothly. And so you might have a table that's like for A to E, and then a table that's from like F to G or whatever, right? And then you expect kids to get in the right lines. Or you might have like a personalized and non-personalized.
Never.
And now we're expecting kids to know what kind of book they ordered, and they're not going to know that. So how would you say you would organize the lines? Or do you just let them get in whatever line?
They get in the shortest line.
Yeah,
okay?
it's the most
So
logical.
every kid that's helping you give out books, and we're going to insert this, obviously, in your video, is that they just go to the shortest line. So I've got maybe 10 kids handing out books. Okay? They each have a computer. And we just tell kids when they come in, go to the shortest line, go to the shortest line. Because every kid has everybody that bought a book on Yearbook Avenue, and they're just going to check them off. And then behind the kids that are with the computers, we have runners. So if I need a personalized book, they can go get it, and I can hand it to the kid.
That's right. Now, once you've handed the book over to the kid, we need to identify that the book has been picked up.
That's right.
Now, used 2 years ago, we did that by printing off a spreadsheet and the kid signed for it. And then we decided, hey, let's do this with Google Forms. And then they checked it off. Well, guess what? All of that's gone because there's a new way to do it. We've been doing it for the last year or two, and it's going so smoothly. And it's all integrated in Yearbook Avenue.
Right. Now, this is the only part that I always stop and think about. I don't know all these kids. So when they come up to me and tell me their name is Kim Trezona, and I see they bought a book, and I check off that Kim Trezona picked up her book, how about if they're really not Kim Trezona? So high schools, you can do a couple things. You can either they have to have their student ID and a driver's license. They can have their phone with their Power School Infinite Campus picture on it, whatever you want, okay? I'm not going to take time to look up their picture in the yearbook when I'm trying to give out 1,400 yearbooks in half an hour. You can also do what we call tickets. So before they come to pick up books, like the 3 or 4 days before, you give the ticket to the teacher's class that they're leaving. Let's say they're doing second period. So you go in and you make sure you have a ticket for every kid in that second period class. We'll show you how to do that. We're basically going to teach you how to go into the coverage report, make sure that you have put the teacher name in, how to sort, and then we can send you a PDF of your tickets, cut them out, you hand them to the teacher. She hands it out to the kid, and then the kid uses that to get out of class. They bring the ticket to you, they hand it to the kid, they look at the name. If it's personalized, they hand it to the person.
We're going to diagram this
yeah,
and make it easy.
It's just, sometimes it's easier if they have an identification or they have a ticket. Middle schools, it's a little harder because they don't usually have IDs.
Yeah.
But a lot of times y'all know more of your middle school students than you do the thousands of high school students.
Do you know what I love about a distribution ticket is the boys, it's always the boys, who don't know that their mom bought them a yearbook.
Right.
And they'd never come pick it up.
Right.
Because they didn't know. Because I'm sure their mom told them, but let's
Right.
be honest, it doesn't process. And so, or they forget. And so, if you give them a distribution ticket that says, hey, guess what? You have a yearbook, come pick it up, then hopefully that minimizes some of that.
Right.
All right, let's talk about how Yearbook Avenue can make your distribution so much easier. So from your home page, we're going to go to Sell, and then we're going to go to Sales Reports, and we're going to choose Yearbook Sales Report. This is going to pull up some options for you, and these are the best options, in my opinion, to get started. This year, no page breaks, paid in full, all grades, and sort in alphabetical order. So let's run the report. Now, here are all the students at this school who've purchased a book. And just like always, you can see they've paid in full. Did they get standard or personalized? How many books did they purchase? And if they have any accessories to pick up. So all that information is here like it always has been. So when the student comes in and they tell you their name, you can scroll and find their name. Or you can just search for their name. So I'm going to search for Jackson. And we have two. We have one Jackson that is personalized and one Jackson that is not. So I'm going to choose the correct student and I'm going to check that they have picked up their book. And it's going to say, are you sure this book is for Jackson Dietrich? And you're going to say, absolutely. So now I can tell that this book has been picked up because it's green and this one has not because it's blue. So it's pretty easy and it updates live. So even with 5 or 6, 10, 20 people sitting at a table, all updating this with individual lines, you will be able to see if a book has been picked up in real time. If you make a mistake, you can just toggle that right back off. Now, another feature that I love is the student lookup. So this student lookup feature allows you to search for a student to see if they've picked up a book, and it gives you quick information and it's color coded, which is how my brain works. So that's wonderful. So we're going to start by looking up Jackson. So I'm going to type in Jackson, and here are my 2 Jacksons, right? So I'm going to click on Jackson Dietrich, and I can see that he did purchase a book, and I know because it's green that it was non-personalized. Now, all this information will be down here, but quick and easy way to tell is just to look and see what color it is. Now, the other Jackson, Crompton, purchased a book as well, only his book was personalized, so it's going to pop up as red, so you know you're looking for a personalized book. Now, if someone did not purchase a book at all, theirs is going to come up as gray. So you know they have not purchased a book. And at this point, if you have books left to sell, you can send them to the teacher's table and they can purchase the book there. And if they have picked up their book, then it will actually show up as black. So you know, yes, they purchased a book. Yes, it was personalized in this case. However, they've already picked it up. So you don't need to give it to them again. So I love this option for knowing who you need to track down to distribute those books to after you're done with your main distribution day. So I can then change my page breaks to pickup status, and I can run that report, and then I can see who's already picked up and who hasn't. And if I export this list, which hopefully is pretty short by the time you're done with distribution day, then you'll know who you still need to track down to give them their book. Pretty easy.